Hi, I'm Charles Liddell, Australia Chair here at CSIS, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Pacific Policy Pulse. Today I'm extraordinarily honored to be joined by Malcolm Turnbull, Australia's 29th Prime Minister from 2015 to 2018. Mr. Turnbull, thanks so much for being down with us.
Yeah, great to be with you, Charles.
Can you explain to us what actually brings you down here to Washington right before our election?
Well, it is, of course, to come to the CSIS.
Of course.
But also I'm commentating, I suppose, on UK Channel 4 on election night and, of course, the Australian ABC from Washington. So it's always a good excuse to come to Washington, and what could be more exciting than an election?
That is certainly one word to choose for describing our election.
Terrifying, perhaps. Yeah.
Look, having been in the seat, having been in office, one of the conversations I'm sure you engage with, but I find isn't resonant enough, is actual expectations. So I'm very curious to get your take for what should Australia's expectation be of the United States? What should the United States' expectation be of Australia?
Well, I can tell you what Australia's expectation of the United States is, as opposed to should, but what it is that the United States will continue to be engaged in our region, continue to provide if you like, a security guarantee to its allies and partners in the region, effectively preserve peace and a free and open Indo-Pacific, to channel Shinzo Abe, by balancing China. What should America expect from Australia? It should expect a good, strong ally, and it's obviously had that, a good friend and an honest friend that will give candid advice and not just tell Washington what it thinks it wants to hear.
One of the questions we always like to ask guests is what's on their reading list. Some might be looking for a distraction this week, some just for really good recommendations, but I'm curious to know what you're reading in your spare time.
Well, I read a lot, and a lot of it is, magazines and reports and so forth. But in terms of books, I've read Sulman Wasif Khan's new book on Taiwan, which I thought was a very good, broad historical, sweep of the horizon. I picked up and read a book a few years old now by Philip Gordon, who's on Losing the Long Game about American foreign policy in the Middle East. He's obviously Kamala Harris's main national security advisor. A couple of spy novels.
Which ones?
Well, a new one, it's a John le Carre one written by his son. Yeah, which is I've only just got started on. Looks very good. And I've also just downloaded the latest Robert Harris novel, Precipice, which I haven't read yet, but I'm looking forward to that. But it's my reading list is mostly non-fiction, and it's mostly historical, strategic, defense, security related.
This is music to the heart of a historian, but thank you for sharing those, and thanks so much for joining us today on another episode of Pacific Policy Pulse.
Thank you.